So welcome everybody to this post-fight Macklin's take. It's early in the morning. I'm in East London, Matt's up in Birmingham, and we've just been watching Canelo Alvarez against Billy Joe Saunders. First and foremost, what a spectacle that was at the AT&T in Dallas. It looked absolutely amazing, and I'm sure everybody who watched it will agree. Looking at those crowds, it just makes you thirst for the time when we can see scenes like that back in the UK. As for the fight itself, well, it lasted 8 rounds in the end, and it was very interesting whilst it lasted. At the time of the stoppage, I had it 5-3 to Canelo. I gave Billy Joe Saunders rounds 3, 5, and 7. Round 1 was very, very tight, but I just went Canelo's way on that one, courtesy of a pretty thunderous body shot. Round 7 was tight as well, but I thought Saunders just did enough there. But then in the 8th round, we saw Alvarez land that heavy right hand. He himself said in the post-fight interview that he could tell that he had broken Saunders' cheekbone, and the corner didn't let him out for the 9th round. And you can only assume, Matt, that there is serious damage to that eye. So a couple of questions for you. Number one, how did you see it through the 8? Give us your breakdown of the fight. And then we do need to get to the subject of how this retirement from Saunders, because that's what it was, how it will be received across the wider boxing public. My feeling is that he will get more sympathy and there will be more understanding of it off the back of what happened to Daniel Dubois before Christmas. Dubois was hammered in some quarters for taking the knee and essentially retiring himself from that fight when he did against Joe Joyce. But when it emerged afterwards, the damage that he sustained, I think people have come around on that score somewhat. So anyway, first of all, how did you have it through 8? How did you see it?
So very similar to you, except I gave the first to Billy Joe as well. So I had it 4-all after 8 rounds. I mean, it was a close fight. I could definitely see 5-3. You know, the first round was close, but I thought he nicked it. Yeah, I'm just listening to you then, just thinking as well at the same time with the stoppage. I was surprised that he didn't come out, but then you're hearing Canelo talking about saying that he thought he broke the cheek, and obviously in the aftermath, look, the Dubois fight on the night of the fight, I thought, well, he's quit there. You know what I mean? Whatever's happened, he's not saying it's not got a bad injury, but he's took a knee and he's quit. He's refused to carry on. He's chose not to continue. But then in the aftermath, we hear what had happened and the pain he was in. And not just the pain he was in, but what he must have been thinking, well, that's not normal. I've done damage here to myself. You know, I don't expect anyone to lose their eyesight. So I thought, so that changes things. That, you know, you look back and think, oh, no, he did the right thing. Obviously, no point in boxing on and going blind. But so, you know, so from that, you think maybe the same was with Billy Joe. He's felt something that was abnormal, couldn't see a thing, and his, you know, it was Mark Tibbs who pulled him out. It wasn't. I don't think it was Billy Joe that refused to come out. I think it was Mark Tibbs that made that decision.
It's such a thorny debate, this, and it will rage over the next few days, and it'll be along the lines that you've just discussed there, because the common sense approach to this is that the corner has absolutely done the right thing, and they are there. They are there to protect the fighter. They are there to protect the fighter from himself or herself, as you often say. And the last thing a brave fighter needs is a brave corner, and they've made that call because they've seen it close up. They will have asked him, "Can you see?" They'll have asked him about his own physical capacity. What is he and is he not capable of doing? We didn't hear that conversation, but that's what will have happened. But at the same time, he's going to get criticised for this. He is going to get criticised for this because he has been quite vocal in the past about going out on your shield and never surrendering and things of that nature. So whether it's reasonable or not, that's coming.
Yeah, look, I think the big difference, and I think people probably thought or said this at the time with Dubois, it was a case of if the corner had pulled him out, there'd have been absolutely no problem whatsoever. You know, he can't see, he's injured, you're saving your man for another day. Well, I think what people thought, including myself, was for him to get hit with a shot. Obviously, it's in pain, but this is the hurt business, and then to step away and take a knee and quit, it's just not going to bode well for him in the future when he gets tired again. People say once you do it once, it's a lot easier to do it the second time. Um, then we heard, then the days that followed, we hear about the damage that had happened and the pain he was in. And not just the pain, but because we're prepared to go through pain. But when you feel something abnormal in your eye, no one's expecting anyone to stay in there and show bravery at the cost of their eyesight. Do you know what I mean? No one's expecting that's stupidity. I don't think that's bravery. No one's expecting that. But and listening to him talk, he obviously felt. When you're fighting, there's levels of pain. You know what I mean? Horrendous levels, by the way. But when something abnormal happens, and that's what I guess happened with, you've broken something, and the fight was getting hard. He's Daniel Dubois been hit with a shot. He's felt something go, and like you say, you don't expect anyone to lose their eyesight out of this. And then we hear this after. At the time of the fight, everyone's watching it in present time. Everyone thought, oh, he stepped away there and quit. So that was that one. That was the kind of aftermath and conversation and thought processes, I believe, behind most people's opinions of what happened in that fight. But tonight, we presume a similar injury. Canelo Alvarez says he thought he broke his cheek. And actually, Billy Joe didn't quit. Mark Tibbs made that decision, which is the right thing to do. The cornerman should take that decision out of your hands. Brave fighters need to be saved from themselves. So I think that was a good shout from Mark Tibbs. Listen, I had it 4-4. Could have been 5-3, Canelo, but I had it 4-4 because I did give Billy Joe the first round. It was close, but I thought he nicked it. But the writing was on the wall. Do you know what I mean? It was 4-4, but Billy Joe was busting a gut for it to be 4-4. And I had it 4-4. The actual official cards had it wider. Had it. I think Canelo by 2, and the other ones had it by 4. So, but even at that, even with me having it 4-4 at that point, the direction the fight was going in, Canelo looked strong. He looked like he was putting in those body shots. Billy Joe was busting a gut to stay in the fight, as opposed to Canelo looked like he had another couple of gears.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And as you say, the 3 judges, 2 of them had it 6-2, and 1 of them had it 5-3. And definitely in those middle rounds, around rounds 3 and 4, Saunders kind of felt his way into the fight, and maybe felt a few of those shots from Canelo and thought, okay, this isn't so bad. And he did find a bit of a foothold, but that was obviously a very damaging 8th round, and you could see at the end of it, you could see the damage to the eye, and you could see the impact that it had on him. Canelo was very bullish after the fight, saying that he didn't really feel he was losing any rounds, and that it was only really a matter of time. In terms of the performance from Saunders, he's done as well as anyone has against Canelo in recent times, you would have to say.
Yeah, in recent times, obviously, Lara, Trout, pushed him a lot closer. But certainly in recent times, he's done as well as anyone, really. Obviously, Kovalev was doing quite well, wasn't he, until he got took out. But, that was up at light heavyweight. But, like I said, I thought Billy Joe did well. But I think you've just got to admire the greatness of Canelo as well, because even as well as Billy Joe was doing, he was probably, I had it equal. Maybe he was losing. He was losing on the cards, the official cards, whatever everyone's opinion, that the cards were, he was losing the fight. And he was busting the gut, really. He was working so hard for his successes, where Canelo's successes were coming with relative, not ease, but with relative ease compared to Saunders. And he looked like he had so much more in him, Canelo. He looked like he could go up another few gears, where, Billy Joe was in 5th gear from the start, to stay in the fight. So that was the difference, I thought. It's one of those. Billy Joe certainly didn't disgrace himself by any stretch of the imagination, but I think Canelo just showed again tonight why he really is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in boxing.
And we know what's going to be next for him. Caleb Plant, who's the only other champion in that super middleweight division that he's he's yet to face. That's the belt that he needs to clear that one up and become undisputed, which is a tag somebody like him will obviously want. That'll be something ticked off the list, and it's difficult to see Caleb Plant winning that fight against Canelo. You can never write anybody off at this kind of level, but it is very difficult to see anything other than a Canelo win. As regards Saunders, he will go away now and have a good think, I would say, about what he wants to do. He's got to recover from the damage. I wouldn't be that surprised if he calls it a day there. I'm not asking you to gaze into your crystal ball, but having competed on the very highest level, which is what this is, against Canelo in a stadium fight, and it was fantastic. The pictures from the AT&T, everybody over there did an amazing job. It looked amazing on the TV. Really did. My wife managed to rig up this overhead projector she's just brought, so I watched it projected onto the far wall of my bedroom, lying in bed. It was awesome. I don't know how to do that. I've got no idea how to do that shit. But fortunately, she does. I'm not in the business of retiring fighters. He'll do what he wants to do. But what else is there for him to do, really, when you think about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it depends what ambitions he has left. I mean, or how in love with the sport he is, or is he tired of it? It's a hard life being a fighter. It's going away, training, making weight. It's a lot of discipline, a lot of sacrifice. So he's earned a lot of money tonight. He's earned a lot of money his whole career. So I don't know what his ambitions will be after this. Look, he's got an eye injury that's going to keep him out for a while anyway. So I suppose you just got to let that rest and see how he feels. But yeah, I'm just still thinking about the crowd and just thinking, God, we've missed that crowd. We have missed that crowd.
Oh, it was great hearing Buffer as well. We haven't heard too much from Buffer in recent times. Hearing Buffer unleash, let's get ready to rumble. He was on fine form tonight, Michael Buffer. I
felt envious, man. I got to be honest. I felt
big time, me. Yeah,
that I wasn't there. I was thinking, I'd love to be there tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were talking to Frotz last week, weren't we, on the podcast just before he left, and hearing his voice on the commentary. I just thought, the Cobra sat down ringside. He must be absolutely loving this. It was terrific. It was absolutely terrific. So we'll leave it there.
I'll tell you what I'm going to say though, Andy. Whether or not he could do it or not, we were saying beforehand, whether or not he'd get it, if he did do it, he did have the style. He does have the style that generally Canelo would struggle with. And he looked sharp as attack. Even on the pads, he looked so razor sharp. Billy Joe going out. Yeah, Canelo still wins it like that. You just think to yourself, is he unbeatable at the minute? Who I can't see anybody beating him. There's nobody in and around middleweight, super middleweight. I dare say light heavyweight. I don't see anyone that could beat him.
No, I don't either. And the perceived wisdom seems to be that he shouldn't go back up to 175 pounds. I think Eddie's said that, Eddie Hearn, on a few occasions, that he wouldn't necessarily want to see him do that. And I completely fall in with the argument that states that you don't want to see someone lose just because they keep going up too high. But I think he can do 175. He did it against Kovalev. Okay, not the Kovalev of old, but I think, the reports of his demise were maybe slightly exaggerated. You got Beterbiev and Bivol and Joe Smith up at 175, and I think he can do that. I think he can do that if he wants to do it. And if he cleans up at 168, then he's going to have a look around the landscape. He's not retiring anytime soon. He's got another 5 years in him. He's going to have a look around, and he's going to have to fight somebody.
Yeah, no, exactly. Unless he just stays at super middleweight and just dominates the division and racks up a record amount of defenses or something. Maybe that's his goal, because you need goals, don't you? He will need goals to keep himself motivated. But I don't know. He's at that point, I think, in his career where he is. Gary Lineker said it about Diego Maradona, didn't they? When he died, they were giving out tributes. He said there was 1986 around that time. He was literally unplayable, and that's what Canelo is. I think he's untouchable right now.
Yep, I would agree with that. Okay, we'll wrap it up there, and I very much enjoyed it. Congratulations to Canelo. Best wishes to Billy Saunders. Hope that injury isn't too bad and that it heals up okay. Safe trip back to the UK for him and all his team and everybody else who went over from the United Kingdom. That's it for this one. That's it from us for this post-fight special. I feel quite awake, actually. Which is slightly annoying because it's 5:36 in the morning. But anyway, thanks for your company as always. There'll be more stuff coming up during the course of this week. We got a podcast with Carl Greaves, and we'll react to anything and everything that comes our way in the world of boxing.